So before we speak about yagna, because that's one of the key components, it feels very the right moment to talk about the pace and the herbs. So in traditional Tantra, we have an important component, and that is the use of Ayurvedic herbs. Now, I'm sure many of you have heard of Ayurveda, the healing system that is coming from the sacred Vedic texts. Now, within Tantra, we use so many components. The path of Tantra is actually vast. In Tantra, we have astrology, we have Ayurveda, we have yoga, like so many things come under the umbrella of Tantra. And so the use of herbs comes under also Tantra. Now, my guru, Guruji Rajkumar Baswa, is completely versed in the use of herbs. And he knows exactly the herbs that he needs to source and how to grind them, how to boil them, how to prepare them. And he uses lots of different types of components to create space, to create powdered herbs. And the powdered herbs are what we call samskar, and we put them on the body. We mix them generally with curd or milk or just simply water, depending on if they need a cooling component. And then we literally can cover the whole body with these herbs. And we often use this as a purification, as a way of just freshening and cleaning the energy field so that we can receive like a diksha or initiation or a particular mantra from a more purified place. So samskar is a very common practice in traditional Tantra. And often we put these herbs on the body. Maybe it's a full body, maybe it's just the head, maybe it's the heart. If you ever need to really purify one of your chakras, then you will just put it on that particular area. And then with a specific mantra, you will then chant the mantra, maybe for 30 minutes, then you can wash it off and then chant the mantra a little bit longer, because these herbs work so deeply. They go on as an external physical substance, but actually penetrate and go really deep into the subtle body, into the flow of the nadis, and of course into the chakras themselves. And these are not simple mixtures of herbs. I know at least some of the formulas to have over 30 herbs powdered and compressed all together. And some of them are heating, some of them are cooling. It's a science that I've not even begun to go into so much yet. I understand some basic aspects of it, but it's not something I personally have started on my path of Tantra. So we also have pace. There's certain pace that Guruji has, and he will be cooking this pace for like 24 hours, putting in saffron, all types of different components, and cooking and cooking and cooking and condensing until you get very thick paste. And it's usually with these paste, okay, we can put them on certain parts of the body like the chakras, but they are very commonly used to use specific sticks, like from a pomegranate tree or something like this. And we inscribe, well, we get somebody to do it for us. It's very difficult to draw a yantra on your own body, but we inscribe the yantra, we have it put onto our body. And sometimes a yantra takes up the whole front or the whole back, or we put the yantra here. Many things can be done. And the idea here is it has a number of purposes. Again, purification, again, awakening this energy within us. And I would even say in Sharab Yoga, we use these pastes on particular points of the body when we are doing kriyas, in order for when that energy connection comes through the kriyas we're doing, it enlivens the that point. In fact, it was said recently, and it was really helpful. It's like, you know, when you go and have a sonography, you're having like an ultrasound or something, those people that know, they put a gel on you initially so that when they put the machine part over you, It allows for kind of like a deeper, like looking in, it's like, I'm trying to think of the word, and it's like an enhancement, yes? And so when we put these herbs, say we put these particular paste here on Manipura chakra, and then we do a particular kriya, when the energy connection comes for that particular point in Manipura, if we have this paste on, it really directs the energy to that point. And like I say, uses it to enhance and transfer and bring in the energy. So we are really using a lot of this in the traditional Tantra. And I can say more about, again, but I think that this is enough for us to just understand the basics, okay? Let's stay with the basics. Of course, if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer to these as well, okay? And so now we're going to go on to yagna, okay? Now, with yagna, if you don't know the word yagna, it means a sacrifice, okay? And again, it's that word that can prick the ears open. When we mean sacrifice, we mean any type of offering in general, which could be that when you go to your altar, you make an offering of light. You sacrifice a candle. You make an offering of some flowers. You make a sacrificial offering of flowers. And so when we do yagna, it is an offering through the elements of fire. Okay, so you could also call it a fire ceremony. Now, there are many, many, many different types of yagna. There are different shapes of a yagna kund. We call it a kund, like some people say a fire pit. But a fire pit is a very kind of not so beautiful as saying kund. A kund is like a vessel. It is something that is holding something sacred. And so if we say yagna kund, it is like a vessel that holds the offering. And so with a yagna, we are working directly with the elements of fire. And a fire is created, obviously using wood. And then into the fire, we make offerings, which are generally grains. We talked about the 5 M's before as part of the left-handed Tantra. As you can see, we're using one of those 5 M's is grains. Parched grains. And we use these grains when we make yantras, when we are offering to the fire. And depending on the fire, depends on the complexity and mixture of those grains. You can have a very simple yagna that offers white rice, white sesame or black sesame, white sugar, even some honey in there, some ghee. And this is what we would call a very simple yagna. And then you can get completely complex mixtures of, we call it samagri, the offering. And this can be so many different things. You can be offering cashew nuts, almond nuts, udat, dal, black grains. You can be offering wheat. You can be offering lotus seeds. Like, you can go from the most simplest to the most extravagant. And it depends on what energy you're working with, again, of what needs the particular offerings. And so some particular prayogs, some particular ceremonies require huge investment, actually. And not everybody understands this. It's like, oh my God, why to spend all this money just for this to be burned in the fire? And then if this is coming to somebody, then they don't understand what we're doing here in the Tantra. Because everything in the universe is a give and a take. Everything. You put energy in. The more energy you put into your sadhana, into your spiritual practice, the more fruits you're going to receive. It's very simple. The more you are putting energy into your garden, the more the garden is going to grow. And bring to you what the vegetables that you want. We have to put that effort in. And it's exactly the same in Tantra. and bringing it particularly to this subject of yagna, the more you put in, especially if a particular energy is used to receiving lotus seeds, and the more you repeat the mantra, because I said before we use the mantra in the yagna, then the more this energy is going to respond, the more it becomes alive in us, the more we have honored it in the right traditional way. So there are definitely different complexities of samagri offerings, and then different pujas and mantras that are used. You can do a yagna and have a very simple process that just offers, for example, to the sattvic energies. Whenever we open up a yagna, a fire ceremony, we always offer to the directions to hold a kind of safe and respected portal for our offering. And there are some yagnas that just need that we offer to the sattvic directional forces. But those of you that have picked up before, and we will speak about it, who know about the three gunas, we also have in the universe the Rajasic guna and the Tamasic guna. There are three gunas, three qualities of nature. And so particularly when it comes to the fire ceremony, you can visually see in Tantra how we're working with this. On the top part of the Yagna Kund, there is the white level, the upper level, and this is the Sattvic guna. And in most ceremonies, there is always an offering to this. If we then start to work with the other gunas in the Prakriti, in the nature, then the red level, the next one down, is the Rajasic guna. And then the very bottom is the black color for the Tamasic guna. And so as you progress in traditional Tantra, you become used to offering to those three levels. And again, don't have something in your mind, oh my God, I don't know if I want to offer to the Tamasic level, what is this? It's not like that. There is so much goodness in Tamas. There is so much goodness in Rajas. Because if we didn't have Rajas and Tamas, the universe would so not exist. We need these three qualities of nature. Our whole body is governed by the interplay of the three gunas. If I totally took tamas out of my body, I wouldn't have steady bones. I wouldn't have the fluids. I wouldn't exist. We need this heavy fixed quality of the nature. And it's the same in the mind. Those of us that need to sleep, which is the majority of humanity, we need tamas in order to rest and go to sleep, because it brings that heavy, inert energy that brings regeneration. And it's the same with the Rajasic element. We need this movement in life. We need this passion. We need this motivation. We need this movable energy. The whole solar system needs this energy to function, for the planets to move, everything. You can see it's so integral. Those of you that have studied Ayurveda will understand that within our whole Prakriti, it's not just about being with Vata. Vata is known to be associated with the Sattvic energy. If you're all Vata, life is not easy. You're far too airy and grounded. There is a lot of disease in the body. You need the other gunas within. Obviously, the point of spiritual practice, if you start making offerings to the Rajasic and the Tamasic gunas, then you need guidance here. And again, this is coming back. This is where if you start going into this in your practice and you're using these mantras, you need to know that you trust where these mantras are coming from. Because then they have been given and they are, they are sanctified by an authority, you could say. And then you can offer to these gunas and these energies without kind of creating any adverse effects for you. Because ultimately these other gunas, the Rajasic and the Tamasic, are simply more condensed energy. They are more heavy, powerful energies. And they need the right way of offering to them or calling to them. And this right way is by using the right mantras, is by not making any mistakes in your sadhana. And so this is why, for example, if you're new at yagna, you will just start with the sattvic level. You can't really create any adverse effect here or any offense. But if you start to offer to the other gunas and that energy is more powerful, and you're saying the mantra's wrong, for example, then yes, you can create a lock in your energy because it's more of a stronger energy. And so stronger energy can be more problematic if it isn't accessed in the right way. So I hope that makes sense, and it gives us that opportunity to speak a little bit about those gunas, because really, when you look at a tantric yagna kund, then you can really see the 3 levels of the gunas and know that all these gunas exist within all the directional forces of the universe, and it's really acknowledged there in the yagna. And so let me think, anything just to add here. Yagna is very important in traditional Tantra. It amplifies a sadhana. There is no process in the Tantra without mantra, yantra, and yagna. You can do a process actually without the herbs, but it often is not as powerful. You get a more stronger result by bringing the herbs in. But a complete process in Tantra will always need mantra, yantra, and yagna. And the yagna, as I think you can understand, brings in a more powerful rajasic energy, because whenever you bring fire and you increase the Shakti in what you're doing, you increase the Shakti of the mantra. And also the fire serves as a porthole. So it's like an alchemical process. You put the offerings into the fire, and then in that moment, they're no longer physical grains or offerings that you put in. They become transmuted into energy. It's like an alchemy. And then this energy is used to awaken or to offer, to acknowledge, to celebrate, however you want to see it, the particular energy you're working with. And this is something that I want to say with all the Tantra, actually. You have all of these techniques, and they can be very dry if you just practice them in a robotic way. But if you bring in the bhakti, the devotion, the humility, the reverence, the honoring, then you bring your heart into the Tantra. And when you do this, in my opinion, this increases everything. It increases the Shakti. It increases the purification. It increases the surrender. And it increases the energy of the heart. So it helps to lift the energy higher. And it's not always easy to do that. Sometimes the mind is not in a place where it feels very devotional. You know, we're often, when we purify in Tantra, working with lots of deep layers of our psyche, of our physical body. And it's not easy. So sometimes it's very idealistic to say, oh, just be in your heart, feel the divine. No, when we're churning all of our purification, it's not so easy. But let this just be a little reminder. You know, at the start of anything you do in the Tantra, just stop for a moment. Take a nice deep breath. And just really try to remember why you are doing this, why you are repeating this mantra, why you are offering through the yantra, why you are making this fire ceremony. And just remember it's so that we can awaken the light within. Remember, even in the yoga practice, we're doing all of this to awaken the light within.